Hello and welcome to Nil Spanish Flybox. I trust you are all well and enjoying your fishing. Today's tying is the Balloon Caddis. Those of you that have seen the video of my so-called early morning rise, which was pretty non-existent, I used the Balloon Caddis when I was fishing the duo or tandem or dry dropper, whichever you wish. Now the Balloon Caddis is not a fly that everybody will turn to immediately. I like to fish it first thing in the morning and in the evening. Some people might fish it during the day at other times when they see a caddis hatch, and that is not unreasonable. But it's a fairly simple tie, and I'm going to tie the version that I used on that particular morning's fishing. Now in the vise I have a size 14 dry fly hook, and I'm going to use a brown 10-0 thread. So I'll just start that a couple of mil behind the eye and wind it down. Trim off the excess and wind down just before the start of the bend. Right now I put a tag on mine, an orange tag. And this is orange floss. The fly that I used that morning also had an orange tag on it. So it's just a question of doubling it over 3 or 4 times to get a reasonable thickness, and then tighten. Something like that. Trim up the excess and trim off the tag about that sort of length, which is probably about 4 or 5 mil. Just tidy up a little bit here. Now for the body I'm going to use a high floating material. And this is gecko dubbing from Doug Swisher. It's called Caddis Tan, so in that sense it should be perfect. You can use whatever you like. I've actually used Aero Wing as well, which is a high floatant. So it's really entirely up to you, but you get the idea of the colour that we're looking for. Now the body of most caddis I think are probably not thin, so I'm going to give it a reasonable sized body. Just tighten that up a little bit. A bit more. Up to the thorax area. Tidy up. If you want to give that a little brush, you can do. That's entirely up to you to create a sort of rough appearance. Now for the wing, I'm going to use just plain deer hair. You don't need a lot. It's all about what the perception is from below, more than about its floating ability. And I'm talking about the deer hair. So not a great deal. I'll put that in the stacker. And hopefully that will come out fairly even. Right. The length of the wing, just about a little bit over the length of the orange tag there. Now I'm going to trim up the bottom before I tie it in. Now a couple of loose wraps and tighten up. It will splay, don't worry about that. Deal with that afterwards. And one underneath at the front. Now I'm going to trim all of that off and there will be some more hairdressing a little bit later on, so don't worry about the deer hair splaying. As I said, it's more about what they see from underneath than about its flotation capabilities, the deer hair. Just trim it up, take your time. Right, now I'm going to bind that down. There we go. Now for the foam, I use block foam. You may have another way of dealing with it, and I just trim up a piece. This is about 5 mil across and about 2 mil thick. And I'm just going to trim up the corners to make it easier to tie in. I'll tie that in from the side. Not too heavy on the wrapping to begin with, because you will run the risk of cutting through the foam. And you're winding down to more or less the eye of the hook. There. And now you can bind it down a bit more. There we go. And for the thorax, I'm going to use some more of the dubbing. Like so. Now if you wanted to brush that out, you can do. I won't bother, but if you want to, you can do. And then just pull back the foam to create the balloon. Fairly loose wrap to begin with. Right, now before I tie that off, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on there. Tie it off. And trim up. Now, as far as the foam is concerned, just cut it straight across, like so. Right, now let's have a look at this hairs here. Sorry, not the hairs here, this deer hair. And just trim it up underneath. As I said, you don't need a big wing for the reasons that I explained. It's more about what they see from underneath, and if they see the splayed wing like that, that will be enough. Now you can make the balloon larger at the front, you can make it smaller, you can make it however you want. That's how I tie it. That's how I tied it for that particular day, and hopefully you will tie it and you will catch fish with it. Even if you don't catch fish with this, it is a perfect fly for a dry dropper. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider being so and hitting the bell. Give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.